All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to tackle a huge question. How do you actually build a career that means something in a world that's getting more complex by the second? It's a challenge every single one of us is up against. So, we're going to deconstruct a really fascinating modern professional blueprint piece by piece and see what we can figure out together.
It always seems to start with this question, doesn't it? Do I go super deep and become a specialist? Or do I go wide and become a generalist? It feels like this giant fork in the road that's going to define everything. But what if that's not even the right question? What if it's a false choice?
What if there's a third path, a different way forward? Today, we're exploring what the source material calls a fusion identity. Think of it as a way to combine totally different fields, all powered by a single unified mental engine. And to really get our heads around this, we're going to use one person's super detailed analytical profile as our guide. Okay, let's dive in. First things first, let's look at the what. We're talking about the tangible stuff, the actual work, the output. This isn't about a list of skills on a resume. It's about what this person actually creates. This is where the blueprint starts to become real.
Now, look closely here because this is not just some random list of projects. Each one of these things, it's a whole system. A bias dashboard, for example, isn't just a chart. It's a living, breathing system designed to actively sniff out and show you potential biases as they happen. What we're really looking at is a portfolio of interconnected creations that blend pure logic and algorithmic thinking into this really distinct personal style. It's like engineering and design had a baby.
And none of this work is random. It's all guided by a really clear set of principles. The main idea is to cut through the noise to find the real signal. So, instead of just looking at raw numbers, the focus is on a cycle-based understanding to explain the behavior behind why the market is doing what it's doing. See the difference? This isn't just about spitting out data. It's about building models that give you real, deep insight. That's how you build a product identity that's uniquely yours.
And here's the key takeaway. When you start building systems that are guided by your own principles, you automatically shift from being a follower to being a creator. The source material really highlights this strategic focus on protecting your intellectual property, those unique dashboards, that special scoring logic. This is all about consciously, deliberately building a premium personal brand.
Okay, so we've seen the what. That's the visible part. But let's go a layer deeper, because this is where it gets really interesting. We're now going to explore the why, the core motivation, the fire that drives all this work. Because honestly, without a strong why, the what is just a random collection of projects.
And there it is. It sounds simple, but this is an incredibly powerful mission. It's the one thread that ties every single action together. Doesn't matter if we're talking about learning AI or finance or even just life philosophy, the driving force is this relentless hunt for clarity. And the main tool? Questioning everything.
So how does that play out in real life? Well, it starts with the most fundamental question you can ask about literally anything. What is the structure? It's not about memorizing facts. No, it's about seeing the bones, the underlying architecture of any idea.
And then you dig deeper. It's not enough to know what the structure is. The next question is why this logic? This approach treats these super complex fields like AI and finance not like some kind of black magic, but like machines, systems that have rules and cycles that you can absolutely take apart and understand.
And right here, this is where it gets really profound. The questioning suddenly turns inward, away from the external system and onto the self. Is what I'm thinking real intelligence, or is it just conditioned thinking? It's about dismantling all the programming we get from our family, our culture, or traditions, and trying to separate what's objectively true from what we've just been taught to believe.
This quote just perfectly captures the heart of it all. This is the ultimate why. It's not just about building better financial models or smarter AI. It's about building a better, clearer, more independent mind. All right, so we've covered the what and the why. Now for the final piece of our puzzle, the how. What are the actual behaviors, the mental models? What's the operating system that powers this whole blueprint and brings that big vision to life? So this is basically the source code for the whole operating system. The how behind it all. It kicks off with a super consistent curiosity, but, and this is key, it's channeled through a long-term systems builder mindset. This isn't about quick wins. We're talking about patiently building and refining things over months, maybe even years. Then you have this high sense of responsibility, a real commitment to ethics and objectivity. And check out this distinction. It's identity-focused, meaning the work has a unique signature, but it's not ego-driven. It's all about the quality of the work, not about getting a pat on the back. This mix of curiosity, discipline, and humility, that's the engine.
Okay, so we've taken it all apart. We've looked at the what, the why, and the how. Now let's put all the pieces back together and see what kind of unified professional identity emerges when you stack all these layers up.
This right here, this is the actionable core of the whole blueprint. It's a repeatable, six-step thinking process. It starts with just observing deeply, and it ends with maintaining your work ethically and objectively. It's a loop, you see. It connects that intense curiosity to structured creation, and then connects that creation back to responsibility. This is the feedback loop that powers the entire system and makes sure it's always learning and getting better.
And when you run that process day in and day out, you get this, a fusion of all these powerful professional archetypes. It's not about being just one of these things. It's about combining the pure logic of an engineer with the deep clarity of a philosopher and the curiosity of a scientist with the discipline of a true professional. This is what that fusion identity looks like in action.
So, what do you even call all of this? The source gives it a name, and it's not just some fancy job title. It's a really precise description that's been earned through action, vision, and behavior. An AI analytical fintech system designer with a philosophy-driven thinking structure. Every single one of those words is backed up by everything we just walked through.
So there you have it. We've deconstructed and then reassembled this pretty incredible blueprint. We've seen how tangible work, a core vision, and a behavioral OS can come together to create this powerful, unified identity. So the final question, it's not about this blueprint anymore. It's about yours. What's your what, your why, and your how? And what are you going to build with them?